I'd like to start making a very brief comment about the very important differences in the scale and the speed of urbanization in China and South Africa. For example, if you look at the size of the population of Shanghai, where I've done a lot of my work, and Cape Town, where we're holding the workshop, Shanghai now has 25 million people. If you go back to 10 years ago, Shanghai had about 17 million people. So Shanghai, over a decade, has added almost 2 Cape Towns in terms of total population. So Cape Town went from less than 3 million to about 3.7 million. I just talked about the scale differences. And now I'd like to add another S to this, which is speed. The speed of Chinese urbanization has been probably the fastest in the shortest period of time. If you look at the proportion of people in China living in cities, it was around 26% 20 years ago, so around 1990. But now the level of urbanization in China is about 54%. So in about 20 years, China has doubled the sheer population living in cities. So if you compare that to South Africa around 1990, there were already 52% of the population in cities. So at that time, South Africa is way ahead in terms of level of urbanization. South Africa now stands around 62%, which is still ahead of China, but China closed that gap very quickly in a very short period of time. My third comment, which is using another word starting with the letter S, which is state. This often is regarded as the most crucial difference between China and South Africa, or Africa more broadly, is how strong, how purposeful, how deliberate the state has acted in fostering urbanization. So I would say we as scholars of China and comparatively tend to overemphasize the role of the state. I think the state, relative to market forces and other drivers of urbanization in China, has played the most important role so far. It's the most powerful driver of urbanization through planning, through directives, through state-backed financing, through its large banks. But if you look at the regional and local variations of urbanization within China, you can see the state often is not as strong as the entrepreneurial market-driven activities once they were unleashed by favorable state policies. In a few cases, in local studies that have been involved, working with Chinese scholars, sometimes you often see the state playing a kind of behind-the-scene secondary role relative to entrepreneurs. And sometimes state refuses or hesitates to intervene in the process of urban development. So the next phase of urbanization in China, I think, will be a crucial test on how effective, powerful the state role will continue to be. I think the state has done the easier or the easiest job so far in terms of fostering urbanization from a very low starting point by over-investing infrastructure, building factories. Increasingly, I think state will be less effective relative to the more mature, more dynamic market forces, and also outside capital from international corporations, and increasingly also have to contend with the civil society, with the growing role, nevertheless still limited role, of NGOs.